Thank you for joining us. I'm going to be discussing the Sanford Consortium for Regenerative Medicine project that we completed for our Capstone 2013. The team here is myself, Jonathan Cummings, Jose Bajorquez, Josh Capps, and T. Nguyen. A brief overview of the project. The project is located in La Jolla, California. It's a Sanford Consortium for Regenerative Medicine project, as I discussed. The delivery system that this project is going to be built under is a guaranteed maximum price, which is also known as a GMP. It consists of a lab and office space of 104,000 square feet. It's mostly concrete structure with cantilevered beam pods. The auditorium and conference space makes up about 14,000 square feet of the entire building. Going into the financials. The contract amount for this project is estimated to be $80,582,000. Our general conditions to build the project, this entails our staff, computers, essentially everything that it's going to take for our project team to build the project is about $4.2 million or 5.3% of the entire contract value. Our fees to build this project, which is our profit, is $3.8 million with the contingency for all unforeseen conditions of $4.4 million. Our staff organizational chart, it's pretty standard for construction companies. It starts with the project manager and trickles down. The project estimator and the project superintendent are essentially on the same level. However, the project estimator is only needed at the front end of the project, as you'll see later in our staffing matrix. And again, under the project manager is all of the project engineers who will perform submittal, review, and RFI submissions. And field engineers and safety engineer are going to be primarily responsible for being out on site and getting the project built. Here's the staffing matrix that I mentioned. Again, we staffed this job a little bit heavy. As you can see, every key member of the project is not going to be on the project for the entire duration. This helps us to really give value to the owner by not just staffing a job super heavy and wasting money in that regard. Here's the staffing matrix in a graph format. As you can see, kind of the peak time that we will have the majority of people on site is between the months of, or 16 to 19 months into the project. Now T will go ahead and handle site utilization.
Thanks, John. And again, this project is located in La Jolla that can easily be accessed for material delivery using the Highway 5 north, exiting Genesee, and south on North Torrey Pine Road, as indicated in the second arrow, highlighted on our site plan in yellow. Here is our mass excavation site utilization plan. And some of the three features here are our generator that we will use temporarily for the mass excavation. And here in the orange arrow will be the path of our scraper. And the scraper will be going clockwise to excavate the pit and dump it on the temporary parking lot. And right here is where our temp fence is. There will be signage indicating and redirecting the passengers, such as the pedestrian and faculties, to use the other side of the road during this excavation. Here's the traffic control plan. For our traffic control plan, we will be using signages, barricades, such as flashing arrows and board to redirect traffic going south on Torrey Pine Road, just to do the water connect to the new building. Here is an example of our site utilization plan during our superstructure. And here's the location of our crane that will encompass the entire site. We will use this crane for the steel erection as well as the concrete pour of this 4-story research facility. On the north end, we will have a man hoist for our worker to get access to the 4-story laboratory. On the south end is our material laydown, where we can store formwork for concrete as well as area for our steel. Next up, I'll pass it on to Josh, who will talk about the project schedule.
Thank you, T. This project had a lot of complexity due to the amount of different materials that we had to put in place. We had roughly 2 years to complete a 4-story structure of concrete with 2 levels of subterranean laboratory and a steel structure that would house our auditorium, as well as the masonry generator. The project complexity drove us to break our buyout into 2 separate priority groups. The first priority group would have our main contractors in it, reinforcing, elevators, steel, MEP, and our priority 2 would have our fire alarm, roofing, exteriors, framing, which are contractors that won't come onto the project until later. Our longest lead item will be arriving on site roughly a year from the start date, and that is our emergency generator. The critical path for our project runs through our concrete structure as it is very complex and has a lot of scope. Our vivarium concrete begins on May 10th, 2013, and the laboratory tops out on January 13th, 2014, roughly a 9-month duration. We didn't want to slam a schedule down our subcontractors' throats, which has been the convention of old. We've decided that we wanted to get the subs to buy into the schedule just as much as we were creating the schedule. And the medium that we used to get this across was a system called pole planning. This is essentially where you get all of your subcontractors, general contractors in one room and have a group think to come up with the best way to build the project. Accountability is assigned and measured throughout the project to ensure that the schedule is kept. And roughly there is a 15% time saving on projects that use this method. This is an example of a way that we decided to phase the project so that we could keep accidents off of the project and still keep production flowing as we needed it to. As you can see in yellow, that is our form reinforce and placement of the exterior walls for the concrete structure. And the red area is where we're going to prepare the slab on grade to erect our steel. So we decided to place those walls, and then after we were above floor 1, that's when we would prepare slab on grade to avoid a pinch point of activities. This is our interiors model that we use to help our subcontractors see where they're going to be in the project at a given time. We would use things like this in our weekly meetings where we would do the pole planning sessions so that we could make sure that everybody was clear on the responsibilities that they had for the upcoming week. Our laboratory interiors begin in January 13th, 2014, and it is the last thing that we do before substantial completion in February 27, 2015. This is another illustration that we use to help our subcontractors tradesmen when they're out in the field. As you can see on the left, the finished legend represents their trade, and then it correlates to an area and time in the finished card on the right. This is a tool that we believe will create efficiencies and increase productivity on our project so that we can finish on time, as this is a very complex laboratory building with many different components that need to come together for us to finish when we would like to. Next, I will pass to Jose, who will go over our concrete estimate.
Thank you, Josh. As Josh mentioned, the concrete it follows into the critical path. So we want to make sure that we have a good control of this activity. And that is why we are self-performing the concrete. Just to give you a brief description on what the structural concrete entails for this project, it's 2 levels of underground and 4 levels of above grade. In this elevation, you can see the 2 underground levels that include the vivarium and some office space, as well as the 4 above grade office space. And this is where they're located on the 4. The total the structural concrete cost came out to $10.2 million, of which 15% is for overhead, 2% for insurance, and 2% for bond. Our team took safety very seriously in this project, and that is why we evaluated all the safety hazards that can arise on this project. This includes the use of the crane. As team mentioned, we are going to be using our crane for the concrete pours, for setting all the forms. Other safety hazards that we will incur in this project are fall protections when building the pod offices, as shown on the right. And the other safety hazard that we will have in this project is the changes in elevation. We have to make sure that all the grading are followed through the safety program. The way we will mitigate all the safety risks are through our implementing the safety orientations, conducting safety trainings, making sure that all the subcontractors have JHAs filled out, and that we are conducting weekly toolbox meetings, as well as pre-planning for any activity that might present a major safety hazard. Just to give you a brief project recap, the owner of this project are the Sanford Consortium for Generative Medicine. The total project duration on this project is 24 months. Substantial completion will be on March 27, 2015. The total contract amount totals to $80.5 million with a profit of $3.87 million. That's 4.8% of our total. Some of the unique features that this project includes are the overhang offices and the underground structure. We would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to our 2013 Capstone project.